A big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Is a lonely road to travel on. It's a heavy load.
And at one of the most amazing places in the Faroe Islands. You've seen it in my previous videos and it is so stunning. I mean, just look at the scenery behind me. I'm so lucky to be able to go to places like this. I can't believe it. I have to pinch myself to think that I'm now a professional photographer and I make a living from doing this sort of thing. One of the things that I always think about is just how I've got to this point. How can I now take photos that, you know, people want to buy, I you know, enjoy putting on my wall and I'm really proud of. How have I become a better photographer? And it's something that I do think about quite a lot. I want to know, you know, is it nature or nurture really? You know, or better, rather than nurture, hard work and practice. And I think there's a little bit of both, but I think mostly for me, you know, if I look back at how I've got here, and certainly if I look back at some of my early work, then you know, it's certainly hard work and practice. And you know, if I go back and look, when I was a 13-year-old shooting photos, they were really crap, to be honest. You know, hopefully get some and show them now, but you can see that they weren't great photos. I wasn't a particularly fantastic artist. Something attracted me to photos because I was dyslexic and I didn't read much. I think I was just drawn in by photos and the story they told and how they looked really beautiful. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to try and mimic those photos. But I'm fairly logical, and you know, I want to analyse things and see how that photo works and why does it work. And I was reading recently some Ansel Adams quotes, and I always go back to his books. I think they're fantastic. The 3 books he did on taking the photo and editing them in the dark room. There was a really good quote that I'll read from Ansel Adams, which is, "There are no rules for good photographs. There are only good photographs." And I think that's definitely true, but are there rules? Can we find rules? Can we, you know, there's certainly the rule of thirds and odd numbers of things and diagonals that we talk about all the time, but is there anything else that we can do to become good photos? Now, I don't think there's a shortcut as such, but there's got to be something that, you know, that makes it easier to take good photos. And that's always, as a scientist, really been something I've wanted to understand and try and share that knowledge if I can say what makes a good photo. You know, we're on a photo workshop at the moment and people are saying, you know, well, what makes a good photo? How's this a good photo? And I can point now to a good photo, but I think I've trained my mind to do that. I do think that's just through a set of rules. I'd hate to say Ansel Adams is wrong, but I think there are certain rules that you can follow to improve your photography.
The one to guide me through the storm.
So when you look at a scene like this behind me, it looks amazing. It makes a great snap, you know, a holiday snap. It makes a great photo. But is there something within this that we can use to improve our photography? You know, how do you look at this scene? How do you visualize what might make a good photo? And one of the things is shapes. So just looking at shapes and trying to find shapes in things, that geometric shapes can just really change the look of a photograph, and strong geometric shapes make a really good photograph. And going close into those can make such a big difference. Now, the thing that I found in the Faroe Islands is that less is more. So when you're looking at things like that and you're trying to get something, certainly in a scene like this that we've got behind me, you know, you've got these amazing mountains and the whole vista looks fantastic. The tendency is just want to take it all, a big wide angle shot and get everything in. But simplicity is so important. It's so important in photography. And you know, I just, before I was up there and I was shooting with a long lens, zooming straight in on that scene, and it just makes such a powerful shot. So, you know, one thing I would say, and can really improve your photography, is just simplify everything. Make everything as simple as possible. And I definitely think that that will help you improve your photography. So just try and don't think what I can get in this, but what can I take out of it? And it really, really will make a big, big difference.
Nothing ever felt as good or as easy as when we were young. Though I felt misunderstood, it was a pleasure running away with you.
So the next thing is just caring about light, and really caring about light. So not just thinking about how shadows are cast on things, but just really trying to understand light. And one of the things that I think I've done, and it's really made a big step change to my photography over the last sort of 5 years, is really try and go out at different times of day and understand how that light changes the scene. So, you know, at the moment we're midday in the Faroe Islands, but it doesn't mean that anything's bad, but it's a very different type of light than morning light or evening light. But seeing how the light, and thinking and caring about how the light casts on the side of a mountain or on the grass and changes the shapes of that grass and the mountain. So looking at that detail, caring about it and looking at it, you know, it isn't about photography, but it's about just observing the environment that we're in. Because when you start to look closely and you start to look at that light and how it's creating shapes and how it's, you know, really accentuating the landscape, you know, then you can put that and something like simplifying the image together and start to get something that's a little bit more visually pleasing. And it's something that, again, I've noticed that I do more just naturally now because I've started to learn how to do it, and caring about light has definitely made such a big difference to my photography. And you know, a shot that I took just down here where the sun was just reflecting off this amazing fjord here, and it really is just a stunning location. But it really, you know, the light reflecting and then having somebody as a silhouette in that reflecting fjord really allowed them to stand out, and that contrast of light and dark made a really big difference. So what I'd recommend is just going out and just seeing how you're photographing one scene in different conditions can make a really big difference. So go out when it's cloudy, go out when it's sunny, go out in the morning, go out at sunset, and take that exact same shot but at different locations, and then print them all out or put them all on the screen and look at them and just try and see how shapes are changing in that particular image. I think you'll see that you'll start to see things that you didn't see before.
It amazes me that we didn't fall apart harder than we did. Now they keep us on speaking terms. We grow and we learn. I have no regrets. Only
how else can we become good photographers? How can we improve our photography? So one of the things that I did and I think really helped me was just studying other photographs and trying to understand what makes them good. So I started off with Ansel Adams. I just loved his photographs, and when I was in the dark room and trying to reproduce his work in the dark room, you know, I found that reading his books was good. It told me the logistics of what I had to do, but what really helped me was actually looking at his photos and trying to understand why they were good. And that's often a very difficult thing to do. You know, we can say something's good and something's not so good, but to actually say why it's good is difficult. And then I started watching Luminous Landscape with Nigel, and you know, I was really, it's probably one of the reasons I vlog now. I mean, I was really fascinated with his video journals. They were so good. But what it also made me realise is that's when I started to realise that simplicity was so important in landscapes. But as I started to analyse photos a little bit more, I found that I could start to pick out things that were common to those photos that I liked. And I think there's a certain style that you start to like, and it's important to then look at why you like that style. So for me, I didn't really like the obvious things where things were just put on the third, or there was odd numbers of things. You know, that really didn't appeal to me, but I liked, you know, really good foreground shots. I really liked it when there was foreground, and I realised that good foreground shots, when I was looking at things like Joe Cornish, his great foreground shots always had amazing light that showed the texture of the foreground, and they also always had great transitions between the foreground, the midground and the distance. So I learned a little bit more about that by studying Joe Cornish's work. And I think if you really try and understand and try and explain to somebody why the photograph is good, then you learn a lot about it.
Acting like a doll, crazy, naive, bold and carefree. We were kids having kids, crazy, naive. It amazes me that we didn't fall apart harder than we did. Life keeps on moving. It's cold. Yes, life goes on changing. Says me that we didn't fall apart.
And then the final thing is just to get to a location like I'm here at Calsoy in the Faroe Islands, get to that location and really try to study the location, try and understand why that location, you know, is not why, but try and understand how you can get the most out of that location. But don't just see the big vista and take it. You know, look at little bits within the scene and see if you can pick out little elements of the scene. But really importantly, just check how it changes when the light changes, because compositions come and go with light, and you really need to see that. So, you know, at the moment we've got this amazing rain coming in over here, and you know, that's going to change the landscape. So I've got to sort of put out a little bit the things that I was taking before, and then try and you know, go with the flow a little bit and try and understand how that's going to change the composition, the dynamic of the shot. So, you know, if I just look this way now, you can see that, you know, over there's the people on the hill, but you know, the background's disappearing, but there's some light just there. So maybe when the cloud comes through a little bit more, there's going to be some good diagonals in this direction. So that's probably worth taking. And then up on the hill here, you know, we've got cloud that's come in that's changed the dynamic of that. But you know, it's really sometimes good to just stand or sit and just look at the scene and see how things change, and you get an appreciation for it, rather than just getting your camera and taking lots of shots. I've certainly found that, you know, when you spend a long time at a location, I've mentioned it lots and lots of times before, you get the best shots. And you know, we're here for the whole day. We got here at about 11 o'clock and we're going to leave about 5. So we're going to be in this one location for 6 hours, and I guarantee that we'll get much better shots than we were here for 2 or 3. Anyway, I've had a fantastic time here in the Faroes. Until next Sunday.
Hold on. I'm not going just yet. I couldn't have a vlog about such an amazing place without showing you some more prints from the Faroe Islands. So I've printed out 3 more prints. Not the ones that I showed you there, although they are some of my favourite shots that I took, but 3 sort of different ones that I thought I could talk about as well. And I thought I'd go through these and tell you a little bit more about them. So first of all, starting with the top one here. So this was a shot that was a little bit of a grab shot. It was whilst we were waiting for light to come somewhere else, and actually it came behind us, and it was taken with my long lens, with my 50 to 140 lens on my Fuji X-T3. and you can just see there's a really nice shape to this, this sort of S-curve here, and then the clouds were just clearing and the snow just looked amazing. And yeah, I really like the fact there's a bit of colour down here and a little bit of colour up there, so it sort of balances the image a little bit. So yeah, I really like that one. So the next one is this one here, which is a really strong image with these three people, which were three of the attendees on the workshop. We had this whole sort of cliffside and location to ourselves for about sort of 5 or 6 hours, which was amazing. So I'll just move this one and I'll show you this. So this is just fantastic. I was waiting for them just to be in the right place because I just thought it'd sort of balance the image a little bit if I just had them sort of in these three locations. So I took a few. There was one I had with 3 people here, but this just worked the best, and I just called it 3 photographers. And yeah, it's just balanced nicely. We've got some nice triangles here, and there's lots of shapes that work really well in the Faroe Islands, which are just strong geometric shapes. So I was really pleased with this. It was a simple image to take, again with a long lens, and it looked fantastic. But I think my favourite image is this one, which was just a fantastic evening we had. And there were shots to be had everywhere, but we had this amazing light coming down here, and it was just catching the clouds here and this just side of the mountain here, and then this bit was in shade, and everything just came together. The dark cloud, I've not done really a lot with this cloud at the top. It was really dark, and this dark cloud just looks fantastic. I was really pleased with this image. I think it's a really strong, simple image, and just going back to the video and nature and nurture, and there probably is in all honesty a little bit of both, but I think it's mostly nurture, and I think you can do a huge amount with hard work and just trying to improve your composition and trying different things. The things that I think are most important are just trying to understand light and how light makes such a big difference to the composition in an image, and trying to make it as simple as possible. I spoke about that a lot in the video, but they really are important things. You probably spotted the apple, haha. So I think I'm going to go back out with my apple. I'm packing to go on a shoot later, and I'm going to take it with me. I'm going to brave the apple on a hillside again and see if I can not drop it. Anyway, as you probably saw at the start of the video, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about Squarespace. If you didn't know anything about them already, you probably heard me speaking about them. But first of all, they sponsor this video, and as you probably know, you're not daft that they massively help me do great videos and spend more time doing videos and investing in going to other locations as well, and in my gear. So that's just such a big help to me, because it isn't simple being a landscape photographer, and you've got to sort of take those opportunities. But they've also got an amazing product. Their website product is amazing, and that also helps my business. And I'm actually at the moment just writing a blog. I've decided that I'm going to write more blogs, and I'm writing a blog on the Faroe Islands workshop actually, and just a review of the workshop, and I'm going to put more images in there. And you can see here that it's fairly easy to do. I'm just editing it at the moment. One of the things with Squarespace is it's really simple to manage images. So if you want to add a new image into the blog, you can just click plus image, and then you just go and upload your image, and you can choose the image that you want to upload, and then you can just place it and do whatever you want with it. You can put a title on it, but it just resizes it. It just makes everything super simple. Yeah, and that's super simple. And also you can tell it where to focus on the images. So for instance, here I've said, when it's showing this image, if it's got to crop it a little bit, but maybe it's showing it on a mobile or something, then the focus is where this person is. I just drag this over to where the focus is, and save that. So if you want to give Squarespace a go, you can go to squarespace.com for your free trial. And if you're happy with your trial and you want to go forward, then you get 10% off with squarespace.com/Nigel. Right, I'm going to pack my bag and get out and get sunset and take my apple. Don't drop it. Okay, thanks ever so much for watching. Till next Sunday, bye. Oh, by the way, it's going to be on exposure. I'm going to be talking all about how you can master exposure. Bye.
Nothing ever felt as good or as easy as when we were young. Oh, though I felt misunderstood.